Hi Math Crew. I'd like to give you an idea of how we will proceed through one of the assignment styles this semester. I want you working with real data out in the world, real data that you care about. So maybe that's data related to your field of study, or maybe it's just something that you're interested in. To get us started with, I am in a Google Sites file, and you can set one of these up through your Google Drive. It essentially makes a little Google website for you. It gives you a template and you fill it in, and you'll get used to that in class a bit. So I'm on a Google site for this class, and I'm on a particular page, and it just reads sample data set. I already have a few things filled in here, but we're going to fill in some more here this morning in this tutorial video. So I told you already that you should work on something that you're interested in. I just kind of searched around for, I just usually go to Google and look for something that I might be interested in. So I might ask for trends in hamburger consumption. And then I go to images. And I look through here to see if I can find something that looks like it has a trend that I might identify. Like this is very sharp decrease and then it flattens out. And here's another one. Maybe I pick one of these, I go visit it, and I'm looking for data where I can get the raw data behind the scenes. Let me see. They give a source here, that's good. Maybe I can go there. It looks like, yeah, that just makes it bigger, not anything exciting there. I look for something where I can find the raw data. So if it's going over time, like I can have the years versus whatever the numerical value is that they're measuring. And so this one didn't work out for me. We're probably going to have a LibGuide available through our library to help us with this. My method of finding data to use in class is probably not quite what you would want to do. This is interesting, but it's not going to work for our purposes because it doesn't have two numerical values. It's got a numerical value on the vertical axis, but not on the horizontal axis. So it was interesting in the beginning, but then I found out, oh, it's not going to work. So there's an example of what not to use. The one that I am going to use is over here. I did find this while I was thinking about things one day and kind of searching through Google. I treat Google like a magazine, like I can just flip through and find things that are interesting. This has data points from 2008 up to 2019, and it shows production in eggs. So this is 90.24 billion eggs in 2008. And then it cruises all the way up through 2019. The raw data is present. When I tried to get the raw data from this CSV file and download it, it didn't work for me. So what I ended up doing was taking this information by hand and putting it in an Excel spreadsheet over here. So I copied the years over here by hand, and then I copied the data points by hand. It would be really good if somebody would double check me on those. When we go to analyze data that's based on years, we tend to reference a base year. So I picked the year 2000 as a base year, a reference year, and that means 2008 is 8 years away. That's why this says 8 right here. And then every year after that, I subtract 2000. So the years I'm going to use would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, all the way up. And then my column of egg production over here is being measured in billions. So, what to do with this? One thing to do with this would be to come back over here and grab this share. We would like to be able to share this. It gives me a URL so I can redirect folks from my page back to this. I'm going to click copy, and then I'm going to go back to my page about my sample data set. Over here under source, I'm going to tell it to embed my URL. I'm just going to paste it in there. And it makes the whole page, and it says show dynamically updating site page. So if they have to make a change in here, we're going to see that at a later time. We won't always have to go back and re-reference things. So there is my page. Let me drag it up higher. Move this one up here. because this is the live one. You might notice that underneath here, I already have this. This is a little screenshot I made of just the data. And I did that so that I know just this part. I can look at just this as I'm going through the process of analyzing the data. And that way, if something changes in here, if they have a mistake in 2010 and they go fix it, then I know, oh, this is what I looked at on the day I made my analysis, and I would need to go fix it. It gives me a little bit of a double check. And we'll make this pretty in the end. So we have the live site embedded, we have a screenshot of the data we're going to use, and then over here we have the raw data, and we have it adjusted so that we have the year 2000 as a base year. And I can work with you on what your base year should be or could be. All right. We need to go start analyzing this data, and this semester we will do that with Desmos. Let me switch to the Desmos page. Accounts with Desmos are free. I recommend that you set one up so that you can do your work in there and save it. I'm just going to click Start Graphing. It already knows me. It says Hello Nicole, or it says Nicole at the top. And I want to get these two columns of data plotted so that I can see what the trends might be. So if I come inside here, let's see. I would like to make a table. And so it gives me what looks like a table, or the start of a table. I'm going to grab these columns, grab these. I'm going to copy them. And I'm going to come back over here to Desmos, and I'm going to paste them. And it did bump them to X2 and Y2. I'm just going to delete that first one, and it's still in X2 and Y2. But here's my scatter plot. I can kind of see that, oh yes, things were going up like I kind of suspected, egg production over time. It looks like maybe it's a little bit flattish here, and then it rises really steeply. But for right now, we're going to just examine a linear relationship in here. So to make that happen, we could take a couple of data points and find the equation of the line between them and say, okay, this is approximately the best line that models the data, but we can do better than that. If we come down here to row number 2, Desmos will give us the regression line. To make that happen, we need to do a bit of typing. Let's see. We have to type it like an equation. We'll use the y, like y equals mx plus b. We are using data set number 2, remember. These were labeled x2 and y2, so we need to call this y2. y2. And then we need to tell it. I'm looking for a little symbol. We need this little symbol, this tilde. So not an equal sign, it's kind of acting like an approximately. Kind of like that. Trying to type y equals mx plus b, but in the right Desmos form. X, and the x needs to be x sub 2. And things are starting to pop up for us here, some statistical information. And then we'll type plus, and then b. And you can do this from your keyboard as well. I used this keyboard so that you could see what I was typing. So we do y2 is approximately slope times x2 plus b, and it puts a line in for us. This is the regression line, the statistically best line that tries to accommodate the data. And we also get this information about how well the line accommodates that data. And we're going to talk about those two quantities, r squared and r, in class. But they're both showing up right there. Super great. One nice thing here is that when you do this, you don't have to mess with the window like you do on the graphing calculator. It gives you your stat plot right away. It'll put in your regression line. You can change the colors if you want to. Up here, you can see where you can do zoom out and zoom in. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that I can see the origin. Still can't see the origin. If you don't like this method, you can also take your graph and just drag it around until you can see the origin. Now I can see the origin, but I can't see my data points. So if I keep coming out, now I can see a y-intercept for my line and an x-intercept, and I can see my data, but they're all bunched together. Depending on what you wanted to do with this out in the world, you might show something that was zoomed in really close, or you might show something that was out very far like this. Good news for us, we do not have to make a choice on this. We can come up here and make this, let's see, rename. We're going to rename this graph. Let's say that this is sample data plot 1, and this is for egg production. We're going to have other things to do with this later, so I'm just going to call it sample data plot 1 so that if I have to come back and adjust it, I can save it as a second one. So save. Now the name is showing up here for the file. Here's me. All right. And then we can come to this thing that says share graph. We can share this link. Let's copy that. Let's go back to our Google site. That's this one. And then let's come and do embed again. Enter the URL, so the one I just copied. And we have an option here. We can do the plot or we can do the whole page. And I think I'm going to do the whole page because it shows the data points in there as well. That allows me to check against the screenshot and check against the original site if they decide to change something. So let's do whole page and insert. Nice. All right. I get very excited about things like this. So now let's go make this a little bit prettier. Okay. The source, the original source here was USDA.gov, and I might just say see link below or site below. We're going to be answering questions like this in class, like what can the data set tell us? What should we ask about it? Who cares? I suspect if you are an egg producer, you care. We'll get into the questioning as we move through the semester. Let's see, this was the site. So this is the live site. This is the screenshot on the day that we were working on this. And then this is the Desmos information. All right, I think it's pretty enough for now. If you want to check to see how pretty it is, we can come here to preview. And it shows us what we have so far. So this is a sample data set. Oh, I should make this a hyperlink so that you could go to the USDA site where you could search for other things. You can see how this has a slider bar with it. So we can see all of their site. Okay. We can come up here, we can go to production measured in dollars. If a person wanted to search for something else like apples that are used or apples in general, they could click there. They could go see that thing from your site as well. Okay. We keep coming downward and then we find our Desmos information. When we get to the Desmos info, I love this. We can see all of this. Here's the information on our statistics. Okay. And then if a person wants to drag that window around a bit or come in closer and see some things, they can. And it doesn't affect your file with Desmos because that person who's viewing it, if it's not you or me, doesn't have any access to it. So we can keep our information in here. We can update it as we need to. We update it in only 1 or 2 places and it shows up automatically. So we'll be doing this kind of thing and analysis in this class this semester. After we get equations and scatter plots and all of the source information in, then we'll do analysis down below here. But this would be enough to get us started. So let me get out of the preview. When you're ready to publish this site, and that doesn't mean, it's all perfect and beautiful. It just means that we're going to save some of this stuff. You'll hit publish. And sometimes Google does updates, and this might look a little bit different when you get around to doing it, but it's essentially the same idea. I just tell it publish, and then it's available. Okay. And you can have settings on here where not everybody can see this page, or you can share it just with me, or just with a person who has the link. We'll get into that. But this is a nice storage space for your work throughout the semester on these really important topics in our class. And it's beautiful in the end, and it's free. So I look very much forward to working on these kinds of things with you. If you want to get poking around and finding some data sets and setting up a Google site for the class, that would be just fine. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to send them along to me.